welcome to tonight's Cabinet meeting. We have apologies from Councillor Toby Byers. Are there any declarations of interest? Thank you. We last met on the 15th of October of this year, 2018. The minutes are attached. Are they agreed? Thank you for that. Well, item 4, preparing accounts for the UK's exit from the European Union. Councillor Mark Allison.
Yes, thank you. It was a very timely issue for all of us, given the concerns about this subject at the moment. First of all, I'd like to thank you for setting up a position on the Cabinet with responsibility for overseeing the Council's approach to Brexit and for giving that role to me. I'd also like to thank officers who we've tasked with looking into this particular subject, which is a great concern to many people. And in particular, I'd like to thank Director for Corporate Services, Caroline Collins, for leading the report into this. It does cross over into many departments. The impact of Brexit will have a say on a great deal of the working areas of the Council. I'd like to also just register the interest in this subject from the community. It's very understandable that there are concerns about how Brexit will impact people who live locally and receive local services. As the report makes clear, it's very obvious that there's a great deal of uncertainty at the moment, and that's causing a lot of concern to people. I should, just at this stage, acknowledge that we've received a note from the Polish Family Association. I'd like to thank them for responding as well. As yet, we don't actually know what the Brexit settlement is going to be, or what the Brexit deal is. There's been a great deal of work done, not just by ourselves, but by other local authorities and by the local government associations to look into the impact that the impending Brexit may have on us would be. And there's clearly a great deal of work already been done. But unfortunately, we're getting closer and closer and closer to the deadline, and we still don't know what the terms are, and we still don't know what the impact will be. We very much hope as an authority that once the deal has been done, the people of the country will have a chance to have their say on it, because there are concerns that they might not be reasonable. We're also very worried about the impact that there would be on residents of Merton who come from European Union countries. In the same way that we worry about our family members who may be living over in the European Union. It's a very concerning time for them, and they won't know what will happen to them. So I'd like to thank everybody for their contribution to this report. I hope that we can note the implications. We can, through that, express our concern about what may or may not happen. And very much hope that the deal that is made is not such a bad one for our community. Although I have to admit, personally, I fear the worst. Thank you.
Thank you for taking on that, Councillor Allison. I'll now hand over to Caroline Holland to see whether she'd like to add anything to the report.
Just briefly, Chair, to say that this report is going to the Review and Scrutiny Commission on Wednesday to get some interest and feedback from members there as to what impact there may be. And I think it's for us to say this is very much a starting point, because the more you sort of try to unravel the implications, the more you then find. And it's just trying to gather as many sources of information as possible. We've just had a report out today from London councils reporting on 17 London boroughs and what the work they're doing to help prepare for Brexit. And we've actually been named as one of the 3 case studies about the work that we're undertaking. So we're not necessarily behind the curve, but it doesn't mean that we haven't got anything to learn from other boroughs. So we certainly, as part of this task group, looking to take advantage of that.
Thank you you very much, and thank you for the work and your team have done on this, and indeed to everyone, and for that updated information on the acknowledgement by London Council of the work of Merton, which is one of 32 London boroughs, obviously 33 if you include the authority of the City of London. Thank you for that. Are there any contributions from Cabinet members? Yes, Councillor Draper.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all those who put this together. I think this is a tremendous, succinct, sensitive, objective report on an issue that's often lacked all of those things within Parliament. And I feel that in as much as anybody can be in safe hands where we're in this dire situation of Brexit, I think we are here.
I always say that anything that combines the support of Vladimir Putin and Boris Johnson, you have to really look at it very, very closely and wonder why they both support the same thing. Having said that, let's forget that. We can move on to the recommendations. We have 3 recommendations, A, B and C. They all state to note, but on recommendation C, I would like us to replace note with the word agree, the proposed approach. So we recommendations A to C, slight change to recommendation C, that's an agreement, and those agreed. Thank you. We then move on to item 5, Regional Adoption Agency. Shows you how old I am. Regional Development Agencies were in the 90s. Regional Adoption Agency, Councillor Kelly Braun.
Thank you. So this report sets out some of the background to the Regional Adoption Agency, which I'll go through. And so basically all local authorities in England have been instructed by the Department of Education to enter into a regionalised adoption of group arrangement by 2020. It's proposed that the new Adopt London South Regional Adoption Agency, the RAA, which I'll use because it trips off the tongue slightly easier, is created through combining the adoption services for 10 South London boroughs, including Croydon, Greenwich, Kingston, Wandsworth, Lambeth, Lewisham, Merton, Richmond, Sutton and Southwark. And the RAA itself will be hosted in Southwark. Because this group is so large, the RAA will be broken down into South West and South East, and Merton will form and host the South West hub, which is made up of Sutton, Kingston, Wandsworth, Richmond and ourselves. The purpose of regionalisation is to increase the number of children adopted, reduce the length of time children wait to be adopted, improve post-adoption support services to families who have adopted children from care, and reduce the number of agencies that provide adoption services, improving the efficiency and effectiveness of those services. Local authorities will still retain some responsibilities, and you'll see on pages 6 to 7 of the report a breakdown of the responsibilities carried by the individual local authorities versus the RAA. Merton will still continue to, and the RAA will continue to work together with voluntary adoption agencies, making sure that their contribution is maximised and they're involved in the development of the RAA itself. When it comes to things like staffing and funding structures, they're still under agreement to some extent, but pending the outcome of an independent audit of all the local authorities, a provisional 5.29 full-time employed staff are likely to be cheaply over, and £298,791 will be transferred to Southwark so that they can host the service. And obviously we are delegating some of our responsibilities to them, and so we are keen that we have a strong governance structure there. And a board comprising of senior representatives from all local authorities will sit on the board, and the RAA will continue to be accountable to corporate parenting boards within the borough, and regular reports will also be brought to our scrutiny panel. Moving forwards from here, hopefully the recommendations will be supported this evening, and we'll move forwards through autumn and winter, where this will be happening across other authorities, subject to formal consultation through the winter and early spring 2019, and then phased implementation through to early summer 2019. So I hope that Cabinet will support the recommendations through ANTC.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive summary of regional adoption agencies. Rachel Waddell, would you like to add anything?
Just a couple of words. I mean, first to endorse this as an approach, which I have experienced elsewhere in terms of creating a regional adoption agency in Thames Valley, if anyone's interested, and therefore to have confidence that it will deliver the kind of benefits that Councillor Hall has already outlined.
Any other contributions from other Cabinet members? Very specialised area. Thank you to Councillor Broad and to Rachel Waddell for taking us through this. We now are on item 5, the instruction that we move into and take part in a regional adoption agency. Although I understand our adoption service is one of the best in London, but we'll try and improve on all the others. So we've got recommendations A to C. Are they agreed? Thank you. Right to item 6, International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, Anti-Semitism definition. Councillor Edith McCauley.
Thank you, Chair. This report is being brought to Cabinet today to ensure that we are aware of the Bow's adoption of the IHR definition of anti-Semitism, and also to seek Cabinet's approval within the hate crime strategy. Sefa Martin has been leading the hate crime since 2016 and adopted the new definition in June 2017. Hate crime is a strategic priority for the Merton Community Safety Partnership and also a mayoral priority for London, and is a cross-party governmental priority. Anti-Semitism is a form of hate crime, and it has been a crucial part of national politics recently and continues to be a problem in this country and also abroad. And therefore, it is right and proper that as a local authority, we are able to demonstrate the seriousness with which we take and how we can do to help other forms of hate crime. All of the categories listed in page 32 of the report have been adopted and will be formally recognized in the revised Safer Martin hate crime strategy following the approval of Cabinet tonight. As we see recently in the last few weeks, some Jewish families were shut down at a place of worship and due to their religion. So we must take this item very seriously, as it is a worldwide thing that's going on, and I therefore recommend that A and B is adopted by Cabinet tonight.
Thank you, Councillor McCauley, and thank you for working on this very important issue for us. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Councillor Moulton for being with me yesterday at Wimbledon Synagogue, where I know that the members there were very, very pleased to have seen the Cabinet Member for Equalities, the Leader of the Opposition and the Leader of the Council representing as united our love, our support, our care for all communities and for the Jewish community at this very difficult time in this country, but also internationally. And I hand over to Chris Lee to see whether he would like to add anything.
Nothing to add, Chair.
Thank you for that. So we're on item 6, International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, Anti-Semitism definition. I want to read out the two recommendations. The Cabinet formalised the adoption of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and its examples, and the Cabinet approved the above to also be included within the Merton hate crime strategy. Are those two recommendations following the motion, let's not forget, passed at Council, all-party motion on the 12th of September, are they approved? Thank you. We'll then move on to item 7, Council Tax Support Scheme 2019-20 and Council Tax Reforms 2019 Councillor Mark Allison.
Thank you, Dame Leader, and thank you to David Kepler and all his staff working on the revenue and benefits of our residents. There are lots of people who benefit from the work that they do, and I'm sure that I speak on behalf of them by saying thank you for the efficient service that you provide. Thank you also for writing this report. As we note, back in 2013, it was imposed upon councils that they would receive 10% less from the government expenditure for council tax benefits, and the government challenged local authorities to reduce the amount of money that went to people who were in receipt of local council tax. Here in Merton, I'm pleased to say that we've resisted passing on that saving to our poorest residents for as long as we've been able to. And this paper extends our scheme for a further year. We will do our best to continue with this. Obviously, the government has consistently reduced the amount of money that it gives to local authorities, and consistently challenge local authorities to reduce the amount of money that they give to their poorest residents. But I'm pleased that we've been able to resist it till now.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased myself. It's a key manifesto pledge this year as well, and we continue to support those families on low incomes. Caroline Holland.
I suppose I just wanted to draw your attention to the council tax technical reforms, which have now received the royal assent, and we are looking to charge the increased premium on properties which have been empty for a significant period of time in order to encourage their use for residential accommodation.
Yes, thank you for that, and yes, we are intent on doing that. I'd like to ask David Kepler if he wants to add anything, even if it is to say no. Any cabinet contributions? Thank you. This is one of our, we hold dear to this one in terms of supporting people. I know it comes through our borough, and I know that family and friends live across boroughs, and one family in the borough would say, oh, my council tax report has gone down. The other one from Merton would say ours hasn't. It stayed steady in the last 8 years, 6 to 8 years. So it's something to be proud of. Okay, so we're on item 7, Council Tax Support Scheme 2019-20 and Council Tax Reforms 2019. We have a pledge on premium rented properties. Recommendations 1, 2, 3, and they agree. Thank you. We're on to item 8, Vehicle Emissions, Public Health and Air Quality, Strategic Approach to Parking Charges. Councillor Martin Melton.
Thank you. My apologies for Councillor Byers, who fortunately is absent tonight from Cabinet. But this is an extensive report looking at public health, air quality and sustainable transport and a strategic approach to parking charges. One of the things we have borne in mind in terms of moving this report is the public health agenda, the shift to more active and sustainable transport modes such as walking, cycling and public transport, the impact of vehicle emissions and congestion on air quality, and demand for curbside space from the backdrop which we face in this borough in terms of pollution. This report will be the first part of the process to identify and define the key policies and drivers that the future review will be based upon. A further detailed report on future parking charges will come before the December Cabinet meeting prior to scrutiny in January 2019. In terms of the potential benefit to the public health relating to parking charges, air quality and health, the Public Health Outcome Framework estimates that 5.3% mortality in Merton can be attributed to long-term exposure to air pollution. By helping to reduce vehicle emissions and supporting the shift to sustainable and active modes of transport, such as walking and cycling, parking policy can improve air quality, which in turn will have positive benefits for people's health. The evidence of the impact of air quality on health is wide-ranging. It shows that over time, poor air quality is associated with a range of mortality and morbidity outcomes. Exposure to poor air quality is associated with a range of cardiovascular, respiratory and cerebrovascular health effects, and recent evidence suggests there may be a link between air pollution and a person being at increased risks of developing dementia. We as a borough take this issue extremely seriously, and this policy that we presented to Cabinet tonight outlines measures that we can take in relation to reducing air pollution. The Council's new Air Quality Action Plan identifies a number of measures through which emissions can be reduced at local level. We are as a Council committed to reducing the exposure of people in Merton to poor air quality. There is a huge crisis here in Merton. The Mayor of London has recognised this, and we as an administration recognise this as well. So this report identifies our priorities for tackling air quality over the next 5 years, and is supported by a range of people. This is generally a cross-departmental report, and I would like to thank the work of our public health team led by its director, Dagmar, Jason Andrews from Pollution, and also as well Ben Stevens, the head of parking. We recognise this a collaborative approach is needed if this issue is to be tackled, because it is a public health crisis. The first and most effective way is to reduce our use of vehicles and move towards more sustainable and active modes of transport. This will have positive health and lifestyle benefits beyond just the reduction of air pollution. As a borough, we can help to create an environment that is welcoming and promotes walking and cycling as a means of travel. You'll see within this report that we recommend a strategic approach to setting of parking charges. The system should be less complex and easy to use, based on consistency in terms of charges. It will look at on-street and off-street parking, but also ensure as well that we do tackle congestion in this borough, which is one of the major causes of air pollution. I therefore formally move this report and ask that Cabinet adopt it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walton, for that comprehensive and heartfelt summary of the report to tackling air pollution. Moving on to better modes of transport, cycling, walking, public transport. Chris Lee and or Dagmar, do you want to add anything?
Just a little, Chair, if you
Yes.
don't mind. And given the significance of the report paving the way to the charges, just to run through a few points. I think Councillor Wilson's covered the majority of them, but so it's worth noting firstly that local authorities are increasingly delegating the task of dealing with some of the toughest problems that require policy initiatives that cover a range of services and functions. And air quality and public health are a good example of this. At a national and London level, government looks to local authorities to develop and implement policy and action to address the growing problems of air pollution, as well as a range of public health priorities that are related to this, and the often over-reliance on the motor health. Diabetes and obesity are two of those areas that would benefit enormously from greater active transport use. So whilst we don't have all of the policy levers, we do have a range of powers and functions across public health and environment and regeneration that can help create the behaviour change that we're looking for. And one of those policy levers is around our responsibility for transport and parking. So Merton's already taken the initiative to tackle the detrimental impact that diesel vehicles have, and we will return to that in spring next year, when we've got 2 years of evidence in the records. And as requested by members, we'll review that and emissions-based charging in 2019. But this evening we're asking members to note the need to review parking charges in order to arrest the borough's ambition, and to help deliver, importantly, the Mayor's transport strategy to assist in changing behaviour, to achieve fairly ambitious targets by 2041, to have 80% of trips made by active or sustainable transport in London. In 2015, that figure was at 56%. So that's a significant change that this policy and the approach to reviewing parking charges will have to change. and that's in the context of a growing population and a growing ownership of vehicles unless we do something. And the Council's already signalled its commitment to doing something when it signed off the Air Quality Action Plan earlier this year, because that had a specific action and a commitment to consider and review parking and charges to help reduce combustion engine vehicle use. So that's already a statement and on the record. So this report helps to progress that commitment and paves the way for the proposed charges. Price, as we know, is a well-established method of controlling demand and nudging behaviour, and we'll look to increase prices in a way which recognises the variable access to public transport across the borough, recognises that alongside the need to strike a balance in terms of supporting residents, business and town centres alongside our objective of improving public health and air quality. I'm pretty sure this won't receive universal acclaim, but it should be noted that prices have changed little in many years, during which our air pollution has got significantly worse. Whilst we're only one of 32 London boroughs, we know that many others are having to plan to take action on air quality and public health, and they will take similar steps. So we can expect this to be happening in a range of other councils nearby. And our work alongside others will help achieve success, and only that concerted London-wide action will achieve the maximum success. And just to finalise, there'll be some who claim that this is a breach of human rights, attack on the motorist, or the death knell of the town centre. I personally believe and recommend to members that to ignore and fail to act on the air quality agenda would be a serious derogation of duty, and we know that legal action is being taken against the government on that. And with regard to town centres, we know that for some time now, irrespective of the frozen parking charges that we've had, that retail is going through a transformation, irrespective of parking charges. So finally, I believe that the rationale and the legal basis for this approach is absolutely correct and lawful, and should you be content, I'll be happy to bring forward the proposed charges in December for consideration here and then on to scrutiny in January.
Thank you, Chris. And Dagmar, did you want to add anything as well?
Very little. I think you've heard the public health argument. I just wanted to assure you that the evidence base is emerging, and there is an independent committee on the medical effects of air pollution specifically set up. One of the important emerging evidence is that particularly children and their cognitive development might be impaired. This is a very disturbing new evidence, and so all in all the effects of the air pollution are disproportionately falling on the most vulnerable, the very young, the old and the poorest, and so with a commitment to fairness, that is an additional argument.
Thank you very much. Can I thank Ben Stevens, Head of Parking Services, for all that he does to improve and to ease traffic congestion in our borough. So with item 8, vehicle emissions, public health and air quality, a strategic approach to parking charges, we have recommendations A and B. Are they agreed? Thank you. Item 9 is deferred to the next meeting, and so we move on to item 10, financial report 2018-19. This is the report for September 2018. Councillor Mark Harrison.
Thank you, Leader. This is a regular report, and thank you to the officers who helped to work on it. It's actually been worked on by all of the departments of the council, because it's part of our regular business-like approach to business financial monitoring, to establish where we are against budget, so that we know where pressures are on us. Obviously, we don't receive the funding that we feel that we probably should from the government, and that makes life very hard, and so we need to maintain discipline and take action where we can. The top line is that we're still looking at an overspend for the current year. We're still working on ways of reducing that. It looks as though we're in the region of just under £2 million that we're projected to overspend over this financial year. that works out as just around about a third of 8% of the gross budget, which puts it into some sort of context and shows you that it's actually a relatively small part of the overall budget. I'd like to just thank everybody again for their work on this report, and to commend the discipline of doing this reporting and helping us to budget effectively, not just this year, but in future years. Thank you.
Thank you. So a third sounds a lot, but what you're saying is 0.36% of 1%. Thank you very much. That is what you said. The word a third can be misinterpreted. A third of 1% is 0.36%. Thank you for that. Caroline Holland.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to draw your attention to, we have the income report, so the half-year review on the income report, which I think has shown some improvement, which is good news to see that collection of our outstanding debt. And on page 27 of the supplementary agenda, there's also been some improvement of the capability of savings, both for 17-18 and 18-19 compared to last month. So again, some further good news. And this report will go on to the Financial Monitoring Task Group tomorrow night.
Okay, any cabinet contributions on this, our final item for today, item 10, financial report, September 2018, recommendations A to D, they agreed. Thank you, that concludes our meeting. Thank you very much.